Podcast. My name is Tony. I'm here with Dave and Dave Stevens, David Sterling. I'm Tony Pervenanzi. It's nice to have David back on the podcast after 2 weeks ago you decided to have some sort of sickness.
Yeah, no one wants to know about it.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about it, but I mean, it's nice to have you back. You know?
Thank you.
So, if you listen to our last podcast, we did it all on one cell phone. So, hope you guys enjoyed that.
Which, yeah, if I went back and listened to it, it sounded not too bad considering what we were using to do it. But,
we are here today at HeadFlyer Brewing Company in Northeast Minneapolis. I guess this is Northeast.
Absolutely.
Only 4 blocks away from where we used to live.
Yeah,
actually.
just a short walk.
Yeah.
Although we could be over into Southeast technically. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's Northeast.
Okay, we'll call it Northeast because it's just a stone's throw away from our old stomping grounds.
And right off the bat, we have Shaun, who is you're a brewer here?
Yeah, I'm the lead brewer. Hi, I'm Shaun. This is probably like the southeast corner of Northeast.
Okay,
is how I would describe it.
Well, that's why I was confused. It's southeast, northeast because when I was riding my bike from the apartment to school, I'd cross right into southeast.
Yeah. So, Shaun, we talked before the podcast. You used to be at Alloy.
I used to be at Alloy. I was a beer tender there. I'm friends with David Fahlink over there. He's been on the podcast a couple times. Huge Loons fan, season ticket holder.
So you know our podcast because I think you were working there.
I was working,
at Alloy,
both times, and I'll probably be there when you guys are there in a couple of weeks. I'll be there just drinking beers and
sweet.
No, we should mention exactly.
We're going to mention it right now, but we'll mention it again at the end of the podcast. We are having our 50th episode extravaganza,
right,
at Alloy Brewing. Woohoo! Yeah. At Alloy Brewing on the 25th.
I spoiled your announcement.
No, it's already
on
Facebook
and
official.
And we need to go back to Alloy because we love that place, and of course we love Dave because he's come on our podcast twice and he's been great.
Yeah,
and we like having him on, so we decided, hey, it's a good place to go for 50th. So we're gonna be doing that in 2 weeks. But here we're at HeadFlyer, and so Shaun, give us a little rundown of what you guys brew here. I mean, do you guys have like a certain thing that you brew, like anything that's a specialty thing for you?
I guess we're probably more known for our hazies, our hazy pale ales, our hazy IPAs. I see you got a couple on your flight there.
Right.
But we do brew a little bit of everything. We have porters, we have real low ABV, honey wheat ale, we have some sours. So we've got something for everybody here, but I think if people were to pinpoint like what we're known for, it'd probably be our hazy beers.
Okay. And you've been here for how long?
I've only been here since May of this year.
Okay.
Yeah, I was working at a bartender, or beer tender, as they call it in the biz, up at Alloy, and then they hired or posted a assistant brewer position, so I applied. I got hired in May, and now I've been up to a lead brewer. So,
cool.
Yeah, most of these beers here, all of these beers here I've been a part of. I brewed them, so yeah.
So, do you know the history of this place a little bit? I mean, how it came to be?
Well, the HeadFlyer?
Yeah.
The HeadFlyer name is from a lake up in Wisconsin that 2 of the owners have a cabin on.
Okay.
And then a married couple, and then one of the owners worked with our cellar guy, Nate, who you guys met earlier before the podcast. Mm-hmm. They met him through work, and then they all just kind of like, hey, you want to start a brewery? Neil went through school up in Vermont, so he had been professionally trained and everything and knew what he was doing, and he just needed kind of a guy to go in on it with him. So him and Nate opened this up, and they've got a couple other partners, and they just decided to go with it.
Awesome.
So, has it been around a year or two or more?
We've been around about 2.5 years. April of 2017 is when they opened. Okay. Yep. So this April will be our 3-year anniversary.
And out of all the beers that you've made here so far, what's your favorite?
My favorite I'm drinking right now is Radiant Baby.
Oh, I love it.
It's our kettle sour.
That's actually what I'm started with too. My first beer here.
Kettle sour with raspberry. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's a long one to brew. Kettle sours are a 2-day process, but it is by far my favorite beer that we have.
Nice. And again, we're in Northeast Minneapolis. There's a lot of breweries kind of around here to the how'd you put it? Kind of the west?
Maybe, yeah, north, just up Central.
Yeah,
There's a few Central and Broadway. There's 612 and
612 and Bauhaus.
612 and Abel and Bauhaus are all right there, and then you can get to Indeed right up the road, and Sociable, and then 56 is even a little bit further.
Yeah.
Dangerous Man more to the west.
Yeah.
So definitely a hot spot here.
It's a hot spot, yeah.
Huge hot spot. The Northeast is probably the mecca for craft beer in the Twin Cities.
Why did we leave Northeast, Dave?
We left
Because I got married.
We left
That's
too
my problem.
soon.
So
Yeah,
we got
I left
married.
too soon.
No, we just stayed here. But you guys have any other questions? For Shaun?
What do you think is the most popular beer you guys have?
Most popular is probably right now. We have a Waka This Way. It's called. It's a
drinking
pale
right now?
ale. Yeah, it's very popular. It's seasonal. It's almost done for the year. We cycle through our pale ales. We try to get something different on after one thing after another. Otherwise, it was all a Dream Juicy IPA. Is probably our year-round best-selling beer.
And so I'm a massive Buffalo Trace fan.
Okay.
And I see you currently have 2 beers that are aged in Buffalo Trace.
Yeah. We have.
What is there a process of determining what distillery they go to, or did they just say, Buffalo Trace, sells thousands of barrels basically?
It's a little trial and error. So the first year they did Banffed, which is our barrel-aged stout that we have on right now. I'm not sure if you guys have tried it. Our first year we went through J. Carver, and it was good, but we wanted a little bit different flavor, so we went to Buffalo Trace, or went through a distributor that sold Buffalo Trace barrels, and I think it turned out better than last year. It was so good that we decided that we want to stick with Buffalo Trace and a few of our other beers. We do have another beer for our anniversary party aging in J. Carver gin barrels right now.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's a lavender goza. It's an imperial lavender goza that's going to be released at our anniversary party, and it's aging in, like I said, J. Carver gin barrels. So we're excited about that one. We've been tasting it as it goes. It tastes really good right now. The lavender is shining through.
Yeah.
And
so
when is that?
Yeah.
That'll be the end of, I think the tentative date right now is April 25th.
Okay.
It's the end of April.
It'd be 3-year all of a sudden. So
That's a 3-year.
So
Yep.
what? How long would they age in those barrels typically?
Typically 6 months, but we're going to try to push our next Banff, which will be released next. We release Banff every November. We're going to try to get a 10-month age on this one. So we're going to brew the next Banff pretty soon here within the month, and try to get a little bit longer age on it, and we're going to brew a little bit more of it because it's been quite popular this year. Because we do a couple variants of it. We have the regular on tap right now, but we also had, when we released, we had a vanilla bean version and a coconut version of it as well. And the coconut sold through like wildfire, so we're going to brew a little bit more so we can have a little bit more of the variants on hand.
Gotcha. Very cool. So of these 12 beers that are available today, how many of those are kind of mainstays and how many kind of rotate in and out?
I would say we have 6 mainstays, maybe 7. The Dreamsicle, it's the Milkshake IPA. We're going to have a Milkshake IPA on tap. We've always had what was Dream Shake before, and then we tried a little bit of a different recipe, and it came out more of a Dreamsicle flavor, so we changed the name. So the Milkshake might become like a rotational, where it's different fruits every time, different fruit milkshake.
I like that.
So probably, I would say 6 on here. Or Juicy, Jump Shot, Regulate, Vanilla Bean, Holla, and Radiant will always be here.
Now, Regulate was named after the Warren G song, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
There you go, see?
Yeah.
That's a funny story. I was driving up here, and as I got onto Broadway to come into the Northeast, Regulate came on my Spotify.
Oh,
Then I get here, I'm like, oh, that's right, they got Regulate here.
there's a lot of 90s pop culture references in ours. It was all a Dream Juicy IPA. It was from Biggie.
Yep, big.
Stranger in the Alps is actually from the TV edited version of Big Lebowski.
No kidding.
Really?
Because there's a line in there that says Stranger in the something else, but in the edited version it says Stranger in the Alps. In the TV version,
Oh, okay.
No
it says
kidding.
Stranger in the Alps. Yeah, so you can look up a lot of these, and they have 90s pop culture references to them.
Walk this way.
Right.
Walk this way.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I kind of figured Regulate had something to do with it.
For sure. That's my karaoke song too.
Oh, it is?
Regulate. I love it. Yeah. I'm always Warren G.
So are you singing along in the car on the way up here then, or down here?
I was getting off of. I didn't want to be singing as I was getting off the Broadway.
I'm always looking for a Nate dog. So if you got that part down,
I can't.
All right,
I'm a Sinatra guy. So Sinatra song. Yeah. Again, Shaun, thanks for coming on the podcast. We appreciate it. We're enjoying your beers, of course, and this is a great spot. You guys have beers
Thank
for
you.
pretty much anybody who comes in here. There's a beer that you're going to want to try, and a beer that you're probably going to be really happy with because you got a bunch of styles here. So
Yeah, it's a fantastic list.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with Tony.
yeah.
Got lagers, sours, porters, IPAs, whatever you need.
And my wife isn't a big beer person, and I was scrolling through the beers on your website this morning, and she the particular one she liked was the peppermint mocha stout.
Oh, right, yeah.
But so that's a testament to a brewery that has such a diverse collection. Is somebody that's not really even a beer person can still find something that says, "Oh wow,
Exactly right.
That sounds pretty good."
Yeah, well, thank you.
Yeah, and we're going to see you in 2 weeks.
I'll be up there,
for our big
absolutely.
50th anniversary party. Again, Shaun, thanks for coming on. And
Thank you. Thanks for coming to HeadFlyer. Hope you enjoy your beers. Have a good show.
Thanks, man.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
So
Go
far, so
Loons.
good.
Go Loons.
Yeah, go Loons.
So,
Are we going to talk about our beers?
yeah, we're going to talk about beers right now.
I mean, you've got like 3 that you've tried, right?
No, I've tried 3 of them, yes.
that you tried.
I got a little sample flight here. I got the Dreamsicle, which is a milkshake IPA, which I have to get.
Right.
Because I'm a big milkshake IPA guy. The number 8 was the...
That's the Walk of This Way.
Walk of This Way, the hazy IPA. That one's fantastic. Number 7 was the Regulate, which is just a regular IPA. I haven't tried that yet. My next one to go.
Okay.
And number 1 I got was It Was All a Dream, which is the juicy IPA. So I got the juicy IPA, the IPA, and the hazy IPA. So I got the 3 levels of IPAs.
Yeah, that's a lot of IPA going on there.
It is.
It's a lot of hops.
Yeah.
I did the Strange in the Alps, which I have to say I'm not a lager guy. This is fantastic.
Thank you. Yeah, that's our Vienna style lager, so it's a little bit sweeter than most lagers. Would be.
Yeah. I love this. I wanted something light to start off, and figured why the heck not?
Yeah.
Just try a lager. And
Awesome.
This is easily one of the best lagers I've had.
Well, it is Vikings game day, so you can't be drunk for the Vikings game, right? Sorry, Dave, you don't watch Vikings.
Yeah.
That's right.
I mean, I might need to be drunk because I feel like they're probably going to end up beating San Francisco.
We'll talk about that later because I have a dream scenario coming up.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think I know what that might include.
Yeah, you know what that is. Yeah. And Dave, you got the kettle sour?
Well,
right?
I did, yeah. So Shaun already talked about it, so I won't bore you, but I will say it's delicious. And I was kind of, without being here before, I kind of looked through the menu. I wanted something light as well, and this is great because it is a little bit lighter, 4.5%, but yeah, it's got a nice tart finish, and it's good. It's delicious.
Thank you.
Right, so let's get into some Loons talk, boys. So
Yeah.
the
And a
Loons,
bit more to talk about than we did just after Christmas, so that's
it's-
I mean,
fortunately.
even the previous episode of that.
or some people still might say a lack thereof, but
Yes.
certainly more
Yes.
than what we've had to talk about this offseason so far.
Before we get into that, though, I just want to say that we have Corey and Jen and Connor here.
Thanks.
Listen to the podcast.
Yes. And also, I have family here.
You have family
Oh.
here, yeah?
My wife's cousin's husband,
Oh.
Justin, and his friend.
Awesome.
So we got to be
are also-
watching the language then, or what?
No.
Well, I see it appears like they're Vikings fans, so
They are
Yeah.
Vikings.
wife's
Good.
side of the family. So.
Unfortunately.
Well, Dave likes them already, then.
Yes.
So we had a little bit of a super draft.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first 2 rounds.
First
yeah,
two. Yeah.
Thursday.
And we only had one round.
That's right. That's right.
We
the
traded
second,
up.
The second round pick was given to Houston. Was it for the?
Something.
I think it was something.
Yeah,
I don't
and
know.
actually, I mean,
Any of you know what that was?
It was
I think
Houston.
that was part of it. Wasn't that part of the Darwin trade?
That was
Was
part-
it?
yes.
Yeah.
okay, and that makes sense. And not without getting ahead of ourselves, the Loons do not have a 3rd round pick as well. They have 2 in the 4th, so that might have been
right.
a little bit maneuvering. So
So tell us about the kid we got.
Noah Billingsley.
Billingsley. Yes.
another easy pronunciation.
When I saw his last name, I was like, he's got to be not American.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like an English name. And if I could do an English accent, I would do it, but I can't.
No, Billingsley.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah,
But
so-
now he's actually a Kiwi.
Which, so now, fellow countryman Michael Boxall.
Exactly. Went to the same school,
Yes,
Yeah.
UC Santa
and
Barbara.
they're both on the national team.
So, yeah, clearly there's an age gap, but yeah, they've crossed paths, played with each other, against each other, so.
Yeah, and there was a little bit of an interview with him, and he got to say how he's played with Boxall, against Boxall, and he says that Boxall's a very heavy hitter, which I get that.
Yeah.
I get that idea. Idea of him. He's a defender. It's interesting because I think there's some question as to what exactly he plays.
Well, it's interesting because, for the national team in the U20s down in New Zealand, he was a forward. And he didn't switch. He switched to defender when he was at UC Santa Barbara.
Okay.
Right.
So, I mean, he's transitioned.
And according to ESPN, he's a left back or left center back.
Okay.
And then I didn't know this. I have to credit Bruce McGuire for pointing this out to me on Twitter. Jamie Watson said that Minnesota United views him as a right back.
And that's what Jerry
which is
Zogda...
it's just mind-blowingly weird.
Yeah.
That's what Jerry Zogda said, and maybe he was referencing that.
I think
before,
so.
But, yeah.
It was like a utility guy in baseball, kind of like that?
Well, I don't know. I mean,
I like the
there are
comment-
ways that you can, if you're generally a left side, if you are good enough with both feet to play on the right, you can do some crazy stuff.
Sure.
It helps to be able to switch fields, stuff like that, and maybe you have different skills that you might be able to employ. But I don't know. It's weird. I mean, everything that I've read says he's left. ESPN. I mean, Taylor Twellman, who I respect highly.
Yes.
He says he plays on the left. Grant Wall says he plays on the left. And then Jamie Watson's like, "Oh, we're going to use him on the right back."
Maybe it's because he was a forward before, and he could.
I mean, maybe.
I kind of like your comment. I think it was just text messages. You were like, we were talking, was it left, right? Oh, he's a forward.
Yeah.
And so you said something like, oh, he'll probably end up at a winger position.
That's exactly what. And I think
He's our new goalkeeper, guys.
Yeah.
But I think that the left wing might actually make sense.
Yeah.
Because if he has an attacking prowess, then he may make sense to play at left wing. Obviously, we don't need a left back.
No.
Because Gasper's fantastic.
Yeah.
Or looks to be.
He can be.
Yes. So I think in that sense, the left wing makes a lot of sense because we actually don't have a left winger.
No.
As much as people think we may have a left winger, Robin Lod is a center midfield right winger. He's never played left wing, ever, until he played for Minnesota. You've got a Molino, who is generally right wing, maybe a forward, sometimes a 10. Again, no left.
Yeah.
We just got rid of Miggy, who, again, was a right wing, but he played decently okay on the left. I think, Darwin's played on the left, but again, we got rid of him. Chacon is actually a 10 or a forward, and he's not a left. So I think you have a hole in the left wing. If you've got a left back who used to play forward, seems to me you might want to use him at left wing, but
If we need him.
Apparently we're going to play him at right back.
If we need him at left.
Where we don't need him.
We don't need him. Maybe we don't need him.
Right.
Because maybe we get somebody. We'll bring up later. But again, we talked about this on the show before. Our last draft, we hit a home run.
Right.
So
the sheer volumes of pick that they had early on,
yeah. But my hope is that they saw something in this kid and said, hey,
we traded up, so I'm hoping that. Wait, we tried to trade.
No,
up,
we didn't.
and then we didn't trade.
Yeah,
up.
I think it was with Montreal, 9th overall. I want to say. They
that
tried, but
collapsed,
did not.
I guess, at the podium or something. And so I'm thinking that probably with that potential trade up, we were probably looking at him anyway. And then they decided, well, we don't need to
trade up.
waste anything.
Yeah.
We're going to get him anyway.
For what it's worth, Watson was saying, well, that's a guy we wanted at 18. So I don't know.
Yeah.
if they. I don't think they necessarily expected to need to move up that high to get him.
Sure.
But
Right.
It could
Exactly.
have been somebody else, but certainly somebody they were happy to get at 18.
Yep.
He's a big they list him at like 6'2", so he's another big guy. So.
Yeah. So I think, I don't have any expectations from anyone in the Super Draft.
No expectation.
And so-
but you kind of hope you can immediately slot in as depth at the very least, and that's what they expect, I'm sure.
I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if he stays because our roster is so small at this point.
Yes.
That they probably are going to need him.
Yeah, if the roster was moving forward today, we'd be having the peanut vendor playing like forward or something like that.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
we might have actually gotten Corey out there to play a bruising something.
I know we're going to get into this a little bit later, but yeah, I mean, there's slots that they need to fill up. But
Yeah.
I mean, sitting here a year ago, before they had acquired, Alonzo and Metnier and those guys, and Minoni for that matter,
Yep.
we're better off in 2020 than we were in 2019. Couldn't you say that?
I mean, in terms of talent, yes.
Yeah.
In terms of depth, no.
So I don't know. We sit here panicking as fans because of what the success that they had last year, and we want to see that continued. And they're going to have to make moves to continue that success.
Yeah.
But a year ago, I think we didn't know better.
Well,
we
you
had
know,
this
I mean-
idea, a grand plan.
Yeah, last year at this time, we were looking back at a very bad year.
Yes.
Yes.
That was technically better than the year before, but not
really.
really.
No.
So, I think the thing, and Dave is kind of pushing us ahead of schedule.
Yeah, well, let's...
But
No, I'll
the
leave
thing
it
that
there.
we had going for us last year was that we at least had Jan Gregish
yes.
signed already by that.
We didn't know what we had yet.
Yeah.
I mean, we knew we had signed him.
Right.
But we didn't know that he was going to be the sniper that he was.
You didn't know he was going to be Dave Stevens' MVP of the 2019
That's right.
season.
That's right, yeah.
We
Your
had
MVP.
no idea at that
That's right.
point.
Well,
So with that,
let's move on to Vito.
let's move on to Vito.
Because, we went in the offseason knowing that his loan was up and his contract is up with Reading, right?
In June.
In June. Okay.
So it made it all very weird.
So it was a very weird situation. And now we've come to the point where there's been rumors, I don't think they're rumors, I think it's actually true,
Yeah.
that he has declined 2 contracts from the Loons.
Oh yeah, the club came out and said that they
One-
offered him one. Was it in December?
Yes.
which would have made him the highest
Highest paid.
goalkeeper in the MLS.
And I'm hearing now that his whole thing was he wanted to be a DP.
Right.
And there was no way they were going to use DP on him.
Thank God. I know there are some people that I've seen on Twitter say that's insane not to.
Well,
I just refuse to
but
accept
the fact
that.
is, assuming they loan Angelo Rodriguez, which it sounds like they may, back to Colombia, that's just a rumor at this point. But let's say they do not move forward next year with Rodriguez on the roster. They may have 2 DP spots
They
available,
might.
so you
But-
might as well use one of them.
Yeah.
You could. That's just the argument.
could,
I'm not
yeah.
saying they should or shouldn't.
I-
I'm just saying you have 2
I'm-
DP spots.
I'm fully in the camp of
Use them.
you don't need a good goalkeeper to be successful.
No.
And you don't need a high-paid goalkeeper to be successful in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And in the MLS, it is incredible. I mean, there were only 2 goalkeepers being paid above $500,000 last season. That was Vito and Guzan.
Who was the highest? Yeah, it's 740.
So you look at all the teams that went through the playoffs and,
That's right.
finished, wherever they finished, and you say, well, all of those goalkeepers were paid much less.
Yeah.
Well,
And
Vito and
they did
his
well.
agent obviously are pushing for a lot of money because there was a comment from the Reading coach.
Yes.
Basically said, Vito came in and trained with us, but he's looking to be a number 1. He doesn't
Right.
want him. He doesn't want a competition. He wants to be number 1. So I don't know how that's going to work out.
right.
Which basically says to me, we're going to move on from him.
Right.
In
And,
June.
and as far as I'm concerned, Reading would probably be better off with him.
Yeah, they would.
But, I saw then that, we upped our offer, and he said that he wants a salary that's going to make it make sense to leave Italy.
Yeah.
And I think his heart is probably in trying to get back to Italy.
Yeah.
So at that point, I wouldn't even want them to spend the money anyway, because I feel like he wants to be in Italy and he's looking for a reason not to be.
And Italian teams can spend a lot more money than we're going to do.
Well, yeah.
So, I mean, unfortunately, though, it just creates another area of need for this team. And,
Right.
Obviously, I don't, without ranking the needs on this team, that's obviously a big one. It's up there.
It is a
It
decent
is.
one because our new signing that I cannot pronounce his name at all,
Yeah.
Regististan, is that right?
Something
Is
like that.
Right? He's got basically no MLS experience.
Yeah.
And then St. Clair, again, no MLS experience. And he's not ready anything.
Yeah.
So
So
I think that's a area where I don't think you need a terribly great goalkeeper, but neither of them are the type of goalkeeper that I would want to go into 2021.
Well, then it begs the question of who do you get? Now, there's rumors that Joe Hart
Right.
is. I mean, we have his rights for.
Yes, we have his
whatever.
rights. Yeah.
So we have his rights. We can sign him if we want to, if he accepts it.
Right.
And if we signed him, he'd just be a stopgap. He'd be a 1-year stopgap to St. Clair, I'd say.
I don't know. I think I could see him being around for a couple seasons.
He's 34 years old.
He's too good of a marketing card. I mean, he's got Man City under his belt. He has England #1 under his belt.
He's only 32.
I'm sorry, 32.
The guy's got some. I mean, it opens up a whole new area. Obviously, we've made some pretty big strides in England with our Wonderwall thing.
Yes.
Which is actually true. I mean, there are a lot of people in the UK that know of us because of that alone.
That's right.
So, I mean, sure, we have people who know of us. And, of course, we have the best crest in all of sports throughout the world.
We do.
So people know of us that way, too. But having Hart as our goalkeeper would be I think it would be a big deal. I think it would open up a very broad new world for us, especially in the UK. And I hope he doesn't mind, but Nicholas Bisbee agrees with me on this. Him and I had a conversation about this last night via Twitter.
Oh.
And that was the thing that we agreed on. I think it's just a very it would be a very lucrative decision, and I could see him playing here for a couple seasons.
Well, you're telling me that. I mean, I understand where you're going with Joe Hart thing about the England thing, but you're telling me that Dwayne St. Clair being drafted by this team, goalkeeper, young guy coming up. You don't think there's a big marketing aspect on that too?
I don't think so.
I think there is.
And I'm big on St. Clair.
I don't see
I want to see
do.
St. Clair.
I'm not saying he can't be successful, but I don't think you're marketing.
marketing in this area.
If you want to attract
he's
And
Canadian.
we
fans,
drafted him.
Well, yeah.
if you want to attract fans from the Toronto area, okay, great.
I want to get fans from Canada.
Right, that's where he's from, the Toronto area, right?
Yes.
I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. So
Ontario. Connor helps.
So it's I'm huge on St. Clair. I want him to be our goalkeeper, but I would not pass on Joe Hart unless it was insanely expensive.
Yeah, I was
might
going to say,
be.
do you think they can slot him in at that money that say they had Vito last
If
year
we can
for?
get him for $750 to $1 million, I would take him.
Oh, that much even. Just a few moments ago, you were saying that you were not.
But we
in
wouldn't.
favor
But
of spending that
$750
much
to $1
money.
million wouldn't require DP spot.
No.
Yeah.
So
Assuming-
that's why I'm saying, if
Assuming
we
they
can
have
get
it.
him in that gap, I think he's worth that, and it's okay. It's not. I mean, I would prefer if we could find a really good keeper. I mean, I said this I think a few episodes back. If we could have somehow gotten Robles away from Miami, oh shit, that would have been fantastic.
It'd been great.
But that's not going to happen. But if we can find a keeper like him for $500, apparently Corey is either raising his hand for feedback or he thinks he can play it.
I think he'd do it.
So I'm going to throw out a name for you guys. Local kid, Minnesota, Cody Cropper. back up with the New England Revolution.
Sure.
I think he makes about $250,000 to $300,000.
There, yeah.
You're looking at a marketing standpoint.
Minnesota's own.
Minnesota's own.
There you go.
There's a marketing guy. You can get him for cheap.
Yeah.
He's sitting on the bench at New England. And
See?
we had success with a guy sitting on the bench at New England a couple years ago.
That's
Why
true, we
not
did.
go there again?
There you go.
So, an example.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go against that. I mean,
Yeah.
that works.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to be pissed if they sign Joe Hart for $900,000.
No, it's two different things. I mean, you're trying to get people in England to be excited about our team, or you're trying to get people around here to be excited about our team. Because a lot of people who are fans around here, I mean, we know Joe Hart.
But yes,
But
and there are a
What
lot
Corey's-
of England fans,
what
like
Corey's
English
talking
game
about,
fans.
what Corey's talking about, though, is a guy comes in who is from here. You get a lot of people here who are like, oh, he's one of our own. I'm going to go to a game and see that guy.
Exactly.
That's the way it works. Minnesota's,
Or-
you know how Minnesota sports
Yeah, but-
works.
He could take performance-enhancing drugs and ruin his name.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know. In my opinion,
Don't say such things.
I mean, I think Tony, you're right. I mean, everybody's right. I mean, this is all speculation, but I mean, I think the bottom line is, I think it's pretty obvious the team has already made up their mind that Dane St. Clair is not ready this
Right.
year,
That's right.
and they knew that.
I
They
agree.
probably
They
had
did.
an idea of that when they drafted him. So they knew that's how they feel. Whether he is or he isn't, he's not ready for this year. So, in my opinion, I think if they do get a Joe Hart or somebody else like Corey suggested, I think it's a 1 year. I think it could be a 1 year deal.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be more than 1 year.
I
'Cause
don't
we-
think Dane will be ready by then.
But we've had this conversation with the Vito thing, was if we re-sign Vito,
Right.
and then what happens to St. Clair?
Right.
So
And
if we
it-
sign Joe Hart, what happens to St. Clair if he's here for more than a year?
And that's something that we have to talk about. But I really don't think that Joe Hart would only be here for a year. I really think they'll try to feed it. Because look, they're trying to get that from Vito too.
Yeah, they were.
So I think if they would sign someone like Joe Hart, they would try to keep him. And I'm not saying that that's necessarily a good thing.
So,
But
moving forward, if they do sign a guy like Joe Hart, they're going to have to loan out St. Clair to someone.
I think they
They have to.
would have to. Yeah.
You have to give him. Experience somewhere.
Yeah, and it's not going to come. I don't think it can come from a USL 1. They need to do championship. He needs to get minutes regardless. But I think he needs to get minutes
Yeah,
at a
somewhere.
level right below MLS.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
We can't let him stagnate on the bench anymore.
Yeah. So
Oh man,
yeah, there's that.
it's all these.
But
moving
again,
parts.
this is all rumors.
It's all rumors,
And of course,
moving parts.
there's just yesterday, and it's picked up speed now. You've got AC Milan interested in Joe Hart.
Really.
I mean,
would
Minnesota
they-
United's not going to beat out AC
Why
Milan.
would they be in Vito?
That's a valid question. I don't know.
Yeah, wouldn't you want Vito instead of Joe Hart?
Maybe Amos McGee should be on the phone with whoever his counterpart is in Milan, saying,
Luigi.
"Hello, you've got an Italian that
Yeah, hey, there's a
is
guy right here.
looking for a job in Italy."
Goalkeeper of the year, MLS,
Yeah.
2019.
Well, I mean, we're gonna miss him. We're gonna miss Minone. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
there was games. There was a handful of games that you could point to Minone and says, well, there was more than a handful where he was the man of the match, but there was a handful of games where
I'm gonna
maybe was the reason they came away
without
with the
doubt.
result.
miss him a little more than you guys.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
He's the only Italian on the team. And now I don't have
that's
Italian
true.
anymore.
You're now ostracized.
I'm ostracized again.
But you still have that finish.
I don't care. The Finns are, they don't do anything to me. Lude, not into him yet.
You never know. He
I
might,
don't know
he
yet.
might pan out. We don't know. If they play him in the right spot.
So we have another rumor to talk about, and
So
that is
there's another rumor.
Amarillo?
Luis Amaria.
Amarillo.
He is from Paraguay. Scored 19 goals in
4 games. 24.
Yes, 24 games.
Yeah.
Honestly, he's a bit of a decent commodity. Colo Colo FC came in at the last second and apparently offered a counteroffer. But we don't know the status of that.
We don't, because when you go on Twitter, it's all these Spanish speaking.
Right.
It's all weird stuff.
And I have to thank Mark Frangmeyer.
Yes, he's done a great job.
My God, he's all about the rumors, transfer rumors, and he loves to translate all these articles from Google, and the translations are just outrageous.
They're just crazy, right?
And I told him, I think it was yesterday or Thursday, that I'm like, these rumors are great just for following the translations and reading them. Because
wasn't one like it's daybreak and so and so hasn't, and he's talking it. It's just weird, like convoluted conversation. I'm like, what the hell is this?
I think when they signed Chacon, I use Google cut and paste, use Google Translate, to try and translate some of these things, and it works, but it doesn't work. It's not 100%. It's great technology, but it's not. You get a little bit lost in translation. So
and he's 24, so this is a big thing about him. He's 24. He's a forward. The rumor initially was that the offer is X amount of money, the year loan with an option.
Yeah,
which I think you gotta do options.
And he plays at Colombia, right?
He's in Paraguay. He plays for a Paraguayan team. He's from Paraguay originally, but he's on loan from an Argentine.
Argentina. Yeah. The team in Argentina is not. The biggest team.
It doesn't sound too familiar to me. It's Vélez Sarsfield.
Yeah,
Sarsfield. Sorry.
Well, it's not Boca Juniors.
No.
But it's a team in that division.
I know nothing about Argentine's football.
Well, Dave does. He's been there for business.
Yes. But I didn't scout that.
You were scouting.
I've been down there.
We said that on the podcast. You were scouting.
Yeah, he's filling himself with Argentine wine.
So they are in the Primera division. So they are in the top level.
Yeah. I mean, this guy's probably a good signing.
Yeah,
if he pans out.
I hope they get.
And I would suspect, being now basically mid-January, with dates of the season starting and coming up, I would think if his deal is going to pan out, we're going to learn about it very soon, like in the next week.
By the next podcast.
Yeah, I went out on a limb on Twitter and said that we would learn of 2 signings within the next 3 weeks, and that was last week. So they better follow through on that.
We need more news for our anniversary party.
He's got 2 years left on his Argentine contract. So that doesn't necessarily change anything regarding a loan. But
so obviously we've been talking about this. All we have to talk about are rumors, other than a goalkeeper from last year.
Right.
And so you can about imagine how Minnesota United supporters in a very quiet year could be happening. And, of course, Twitter is the best place to go to gauge the overall fan base's opinions of how things are going.
It's crazy on there.
Yeah, so I thought I would take some screenshots of Twitter. And
you want to go here? I mean, this could be nasty.
Just kind of go out and let's see. So Grant, I'm not going to give their Twitter handles.
Okay, good idea.
He actually says that he's typically stubbornly optimistic, but I have to say that definitely confused, concerned about the lack of signings so far.
Everybody is.
Large holes.
Everybody is.
Yes, and in a DP spot. I think that's probably a pretty tame response. So then Dan listens to our podcast.
You're specifically calling out people on it.
He's a listener?
He is.
Okay.
He said MNUFC makes no major signings to shore gaps and only makes some small moves. Chacon, Lude, and Dane St. Clair impress and play well above expectations. Minnesota United just makes playoffs again, lose in playoffs, front office learns nothing, repeat again in 2021.
Yeah.
I mean, that's expected.
Dan's a listener, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's expectable.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I can see them actually doing that.
I don't.
I mean, it's
I
a
hope
bit.
not.
It's a bit optimistic, I think, if they don't make any moves and they expect players
that's
like
true,
Chacon to step up. Because
Yeah.
I mean, yes, Minnesota United has a strong back line, obviously a hole in goalkeeper, but they have a strong back line, a basis of a midfield. But yeah, they're missing some significant pieces, and that's hoping for a lot.
And Chacon's Instagram game is great, but his on-field game, we don't know yet.
Exactly.
So Instagram
Yes.
good, on-field, we don't know.
Yeah.
Well,
I'll do one more. East Coast Dark Clouds said panic levels seem pretty low.
Yeah.
Have we all just become numb to the world's chaos?
Well,
I don't know.
now I'll say this, and I don't know if I brought this up to you guys. After last year's off-season, like going through it, just like the bam, signing.
Right.
I think a lot of people come to expect some big signings this offseason, right? And from my point of view, I'd love to have a signing, but we signed a bunch of talent last offseason. So,
Yeah,
you
you got to expect it's going to be a little.
it's going to be a little
yeah.
different.
and
you
that was my point that I kind of made earlier in the podcast. Is exactly that. I mean, they're not in the same position. I mean,
No.
they have a much stronger team this year. Yes,
They do, yeah.
There's positions of need, but it's nowhere near kind of what it was last year.
No.
Without those moves, 5 or 6 significant moves that they made prior to 2019, they wouldn't have made the playoffs.
And again, I think we're talking more this year about depth. We're not talking about talent. It's depth.
And I should actually, I got to do one more because
Is it Corey's?
No,
Oh,
the Twitter handle is Nimbus, so Corey knows who this is. He said, anyone else actually hella excited for MNUFC season?
I got
Rather than panic, I'm just here to have a fucking blast with my friends and see what we can do.
I love it. I love it.
like that one.
We
love
went
it.
complete 180
I like that one.
with him.
I love it. I'm a huge fan.
Drew definitely. I think he nailed for the most part my opinion of the offseason. Honestly, I think the East Coast Dark Clouds lack of panic being bad is too much. I just don't think it's. Maybe we're a little complacent.
Well, it's not.
But-
Panic's not digital. I mean, on a scale here.
Yeah.
I mean, what's your panic level?
I'm at a 5 right now.
You're not.
I'm not.
So 1 out of 10.
One out
I'm
of
at a
10,
5. I'm
yeah.
at a 5.
Yeah, I mean, I think with Super Draft just happening, if we don't sign someone in the next week, I'm probably going to go from a 4 to a 6.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, I'm not.
Yeah, I'm not either.
I'm not too worried.
I mean, we all talk about, they haven't done anything yet, but the fact of the matter is, we still have the talent on the team.
Right.
We lost some talent, yes, but we still have a lot of talent on this team. Untapped talent on this team.
Potential.
Okay, so
Potential.
sorry, I got to do one more.
Oh,
Okay,
let's do 4 more.
4 more. Jeez.
So, Dank Clouds,
the Dane Clouds.
they had a mem.
Yeah.
And so it just says, so we keep waiting, hashtag MNUFC. And they have a picture of Homer Simpson at his workstation. Homer Simpson is MNUFC. All his co-workers are standing behind him, and they're MNUFC Twitter.
Yes.
And it says, get ready, everybody. He's about to do something stupid.
Oh yeah. I saw that one.
I mean, props.
Props for that, Dank Clouds.
I think that's pretty good. Okay. So, with that said, it's not that we haven't signed anyone other than a goalkeeper.
We have signed somebody.
We have signed someone.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not a player.
Not a player, no. Not anymore.
True.
Yeah, he used to play. He was a player.
Well, I mean, let's not forget. I mean, the acquisition we made earlier in the year to get Marlon Harrison.
Well, that's true.
That was
too.
a big
That's
move.
also
Yeah, that
an
guy.
addition.
Granted, we had to lose Darwin Quintero,
And
but
the second round draft pick.
yes.
But we have officially signed someone.
We have.
And let me tell you, Twitter was glorious yesterday.
Yeah,
because
it was.
Who wants to announce it?
I'll announce it. We signed Adrian Heath to an extension,
Yes.
right, through 2021.
Correct. With an option.
With an option, right?
club option. I believe.
Club option.
Yep.
Which, okay, let me just say this. It makes sense
Of course.
because we went to the playoffs last year, okay?
Okay.
Well, let's keep him on, see what he can do. Now he's got an expanded role.
Sure.
Let's see what he can
Yeah.
handle, right? I don't get the whole Twitter theory about him
And just,
staying on.
and just for my benefit and maybe listeners' benefit, Heath was under contract for 2020, this coming into this year.
Yes, yeah. You had
It's
one
not
more
like he
year.
was- yeah. So they extended him 1 year with a club option. So that's heavily in the club's favor. So really, they gave him 1 year.
But what does that tell you, though? It tells you that they're cool with him for this year and the following year to see what he can do with signings this year
His
and
role,
next year.
His new.
And then there's a club option, which
Right.
tells you if he sucks,
Well,
bye-bye.
I mean, if there's anybody out there that tells me they're surprised by that move, then I don't know if I believe them, because it's fairly standard. He made the playoffs. He had a successful year.
Right.
It's just essentially you're rewarding him with 1 more year.
why would you go into this year with him on his final contract, especially if they do something great this year?
Right.
You don't want to take that chance.
Exactly.
Right.
I mean, you know, if he all of a sudden took us to MLS Cup final,
Yeah.
and we didn't have him locked down, he could become a commodity.
Exactly.
Right. He could leave
Because
MLS altogether.
There's
you never
still
know.
that thing hanging over him of Orlando shit the bed and didn't let him actually complete his job.
That's right.
So no one really knows what he is in MLS because Orlando let him go. So, sure, without a doubt, 2017 and 2018 will go down as two of the worst MLS seasons of any team
71
in the
Let's
history
not,
of the league.
let's not talk about those things.
But
Well, I mean,
We don't-
Cincinnati made a run on that
well,
last
yeah,
year.
Cincinnati really helped. But we don't know how much was his fault.
Well,
We just don't. You can speculate all you want.
You're signing
But-
for potential. Is what you're doing.
Right, and so this makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
And of course, yesterday, within 20 minutes of Jeff Reuter posting the announcement, I immediately trolled Twitter. And I wish our Twitter page was more popular because, I mean, I just knew what was going to happen. And it was a picture of, it was a video GIF
Yeah.
of Hagrid's hut burning, and it's saying "Let it all burn,"
Yeah.
something like that. And because I knew that's what was going to happen. I mean, and Twitter did not, disappoint whatsoever.
Oh, it's not surprising.
And
Yeah.
so I have to read something.
Oh, go ahead.
I mean, and
So Mark Frankmeyer, who I
Good.
literally just thanked, said, "Who in the hell gives someone increased job responsibility and then extends their contract before they even demonstrate that they are capable of handling the increased job responsibility?" Honestly, it's a fair point.
It is. Okay.
I'm not going to argue.
Well, and I would say to Mark that this happens in sports all the time.
Right.
You lock guys up to see what they can do after they had a great season. You lock them up to see what they can do in the next 2 or 3 seasons for cheaper.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what's going to happen in that season that they're going to walk. That
right,
walk year.
Right. I think we'd be having a much different conversation if the ownership of Minnesota United, say, extended Heath 4 years or 3 years, something like that. That's a totally different thing.
Let's go out of soccer for just a second here.
Sure.
Vikings are playing today. Kirk Cousins is last year of his contract, right?
Right.
Well, next year's last year's contract. If he does great today, guess what's going to happen? They're going to extend him.
Right.
And you know why? It's because they want to make sure they have him locked up. So in his walk year, if they win the Super Bowl, he's not getting $35 million from another team.
Right.
That's what's got to happen.
Exactly.
By the way, whose beer is it?
So this is a new one that they are launching.
Releasing next week.
So, yeah, thanks to HeadFlyer.
Oh.
Hazy IPA.
Hazy IPA. Wow, how special.
We'll have to
So
talk
something
about
that's
that
not
after
even,
the
not even on tap.
So here we've got MP. I don't know who that is. I guess Brew to Craft is his official handle.
Okay.
He actually says it's a new 3-year plan, more control for Heath. I don't see it as a bad thing, to be honest.
No.
He has increased role, so you have to give him some time to make it work out. I agree. He was the tame one of the collection that I took.
Well, and again, so Heath gets it, so he doesn't have to worry about things for the next 2 years.
Yeah, and I'm fine with people being critical of Heath. That's fine. Everybody has their own opinion. But I will say this for the Heath haters, that would like to see Heath out sooner than later. Won't these people miss like his bluntness? Miss him speaking at halftime and his post game conferences? I mean, that's one of the things like.
I'll miss his bluntness. I'll miss his. Does he have wine with the?
Yes,
Pinot
Grigio with the other coaches. Thank you, Corey.
Yep.
I mean,
come on.
In his English roots, there's a lot of things I would miss. And that's all off the field stuff. But so I'm making light of it. But
I'll miss his
he's a character.
I'll miss his halftime chants on Fox Sports North. We played like shit, pretty much.
Yeah, no, but I appreciate that. I really appreciate
like
that.
Yeah.
You know exactly what he's thinking. He's not going to hold back. He's not. He'll call people out. He'll call players out. He'll say what's on his mind, and I think that's kind of refreshing, actually.
Oh yeah.
So here's one for our Timberwolves fans.
Oh, T-Wolves fans, yes.
Mark Fangmeyer again. He said Chris Wright is running MNUFC like the Timberwolves.
Oh, that's a diss.
And he even added Chris Wright.
He did?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a diss.
Well,
But-
you don't. It's a shame. You don't want to have to lump in Minnesota United with the history. I'll say Minnesota United's MLS history. You don't want to lump them in with what we always say reference to the Minnesota sports.
Please don't even lump.
Yeah, they're not
Dave,
there yet. They're
you
not
and
there
I
yet.
remember the early days of Timberwolves. Even coming into the Kevin Garnett era, we should never lump this team with them.
Well, I'm just saying Minnesota sports in general.
I'm saying Timberwolves in general. I don't even go there.
You better stop this cross sport talk. Keep it to the Loons.
So
here.
I'll end with one more.
Go ahead.
Corey
Corey
said he was okay with this.
I am.
He's okay
The
with
most complacent, boring response.
Did he
of
say
all
I'm
of
okay
Twitter.
with it?
That's exactly
No
what I
gifts,
said.
no memes, no nothing?
No,
Very
I'm
nice.
okay with
It
it.
was just
fine.
that's
Very
it.
nice, very nice.
I mean, I'm with you. I'm okay with it. I just don't
Would be
have
okay with
a.
it.
Yeah.
I don't have a feeling either way. That's
And that's a fair. It's honestly a fair response because he was under contract for this year. I mean, if all they did was extend him one more year, it's really not a big splash. It's not a shock. It's not a surprise. It shouldn't be to anybody. I think just based on the fact that they made the playoffs.
I mean, does anyone think that we would have just changed gears after 3 years and hire somebody completely different? That would be insane.
Well, some people want that.
Right.
But I don't want that.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, there was specific things throughout the year that made me kind of question his tactics,
Well,
really,
the
or
end
his
of the
player
year was all
selection.
weird.
So there's a little bit of that I'm not convinced, but I think at this point,
He's always sucked at substitutions. Always. And then obviously he allows his maybe personal issues with players to impact his decisions.
Yes.
Which maybe that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's maybe not a good thing
But
either.
I think you see that a lot in Europe.
Oh yeah.
I think you see it very much in Europe, where guys have problems and
And I think there's a benefit to telling money players to sit down and shut up, which you don't see that in the United States.
In the United States sports, you do not see that at all.
Right. So it could be a good, it could be bad. Reality is, I'm completely on Corey's page.
I am too.
If it was a 1 to 10, 1 I hate it, 10 I love it, it's a 5. I don't.
5 is nice and even.
I don't care.
Yep.
It's continuity.
it wasn't enough to make you go on Twitter and just blow up and
No.
Right.
No, okay.
Was anybody surprised? I mean,
That's what we were saying. Yeah, no.
no.
I mean, it was enough to make me go on Twitter and read everything.
Because as soon
It's
as it happened,
fantastic.
you were like, I gotta troll this shit.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't even. All of a sudden, I saw the tweet, and I was like, "Oh, this is only 20 minutes ago." And I kind of scrolled through some stuff. I saw nothing, and I was like, "Okay." Switched over to the podcast account and trolled it because I was like, "This has got to happen. It's going to be."
There's
fantastic.
a gif of a cat on the laptop going like this. I was like, I bet that was you. I was like,
Yes. I quit working in a very important juncture of my day to do that. It was imperative.
All right. So let's get out of the Loons talk stuff. Let's go to break, guys.
Yes.
So after the break, we have a couple funny stories to talk about. David has a story about some insurance issues with his kitchen.
Almost insurance.
Almost insurance. And we have a funny story about a goat and a carjacking.
Yes.
Wow.
Oh, I remember that one.
All right, you're gonna want to listen to this one. So we'll be back in a couple minutes from HeadFlyer Brewing.
Just before you do that,
Yeah, okay.
what was your? I want to tease this a little bit. Was
Yeah.
your insurance? Is it something about insurance in your kitchen? Was your insurance agent drunk and did he come into your kitchen and cook you breakfast?
He didn't clean either.
No,
Or
but it
clean.
did involve having alcohol.
Okay.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
We'll be back from HeadFlyer Brewing in just a couple minutes. And we are back at HeadFlyer Brewing Company in Northeast Minneapolis. It's got a little crowded here because the Vikings game is about to start, and I don't know,
It's
about
not for
an
another
hour
hour
an
and
hour.
20 minutes.
We got a lot of Vikings fans here, though. I can
But
see it's already filled in.
and they
Pre-game
got
is
stuff
in,
going on.
We got
Pre-game
stuff
is in
going
full
on, yeah.
force here right now. It's filling
So
up.
it's great. Connor had to leave us. He's gone. He had to watch the Vikings game, I think. That's what he says.
Yeah.
So he's out.
Wasted 3 hours.
But we got some new beers to try. David, what'd you get?
So I had gotten the Dreamsicle. It was fantastic. I'm almost done with it now.
Nice.
I mean,
Milkshake IPA, yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
You
it
guys,
tastes like a Dreamsicle. Can't. Yeah.
And Dave, you got the
not to
Stranger
be
in the Alps.
Yeah, not to be too boring, but that's what David had earlier to start the podcast, and I figured my second one should be kind of it's it's not as strong, and but it is good, like you said. It's
it's
as far as lagers go, it's pretty unique.
I got the Hawaiian Sophie, which is a pineapple pale ale. A little bit of pineapple and a pale ale. Can't go wrong with that.
Right.
And Shaun gave us a beer all to try that is not even out yet.
Right.
Is it a hazy? Is it a hazy IPA?
Yeah.
No name. It's not. At
Not
least he
named
didn't
yet.
tell us a name yet, but
No. We all tried it. It is fantastic.
Yeah.
So when that
I mean,
comes out,
That's
get
whatever
here.
it's going to be.
Yes. That's it.
Try that.
Yeah. So, out of the whole soccer, we talked about soccer in the first half. We're done with that. David, you had a little bit of an experience with some insurance in your kitchen.
Yeah. So I'll try not to be too winded,
Okay.
but we've always had electric ranges in our house.
Okay.
And-
No gas. It's
Right.
electric.
And finally, this past spring, we're like, okay, our range is a little weird. When we need a new one, we're going to get gas.
Yeah, of course.
So we finally got gas, late summer, fall, and honestly, it's been a little bit of learning curve.
Yeah.
Just getting used to how things work, and I'm past that. But so last night I was cooking some steaks.
Okay.
And so I had the heat way up, and I was searing them.
both sides.
Got
There you go.
it seared.
Yeah.
Turned the heat down to get ready to cook them through. And anyone that knows me and has listened to this podcast knows I like bourbon.
Yes, we all know this.
I do not cook a steak without bourbon.
Oh.
So I'd grab the bottle of Buffalo Trace.
Okay.
Interestingly enough, considering they use that here. And I go and I pour it into the pan. Apparently the pan was still a little hot. And so it steamed up, obviously. And I pull away, but I didn't tip the bottle back up. So the whiskey comes out into the range top, which is gas, which has flames.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, it's just whoosh. And there are flames everywhere. And all I can think of is we have a 1-year-old and our sink, under the sink cabinet that has the fire extinguisher is locked up.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, what in the hell? Because these flames, I mean, they literally passed the hood. They went up into the cabinets. And I'm just staring at them like, what the hell? And so all I could think of was, I'll just take a deep breath and blow on it. Right? I mean, what else can I do? So I take a deep breath and blow, and before it extinguishes, because obviously it's alcohol, it's going to burn off anyway. It just whoosh all over the place. And I'm like, holy shit! Like all I could feel is heat.
Yeah.
And everything's gone. I'm like, okay, we're good. Mm-hmm. So I go and pour more bourbon into the pan.
Because why not? Why not?
What are you doing?
It's gone by this point.
What are you doing?
And of course, me being stupid, I poured it too close to the edge. And it trickles down back into the pan, into the stovetop, and it does it all over again. Luckily, it was just, a little bit the second time. But I just stood back and I was like, good God. We wanted a new kitchen.
Yeah.
We almost got a new kitchen.
Yeah, you did.
Of course, we almost got a new house.
Yeah.
But
So was there any lasting damage, or was it just flame off,
surprisingly,
burn off?
no. There's a little soot on the hood, but Sarah came home, and I was still kind of like, yikes.
Shaking.
And she's like, what? And I told her, and she was pissed.
Of course.
And I mean, rightfully so.
Yeah.
It's not that funny.
And you still have your eyebrows.
Yes.
That's good. Yeah.
It's not that funny, but at the time, I bet it was hilarious. Because all you would have seen if you were standing in our dining room would have been me blowing on a fire to try to put it out.
Add oxygen to a fire. That's one way to do it.
Were you drinking bourbon at the time, though?
I wasn't, but I was drinking beer.
Oh, so it wasn't one for me,
Well,
one
thank
for
God,
you,
because
kind of
you're
thing.
drinking bourbon and you're blowing on it. There's
Right, yeah.
more alcohol going in there.
What? Well, I'm dying to know how the steaks turned out.
They turned out quite well, yeah.
Good.
I mean, well by good, not well by
Thank
temperature.
God.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Good Lord, man.
Yeah.
You almost burned your house down. Mm-hmm. Fantastic.
It's an exciting story.
So this is last night.
This is last night, yeah.
So I almost missed you for another podcast.
Yeah, because had Sarah been home,
Yeah.
I would be dead.
Do we have to put you on, Sterling Watch before podcast now, or what?
I might have to.
Without getting into too much detail, a couple years ago, I don't cook a lot. I like to cook, but I just don't do it.
Well, you don't have anything in your house.
Right, so I don't cook a lot, but a couple years ago, I just really got in a scallops kick. So I wanted to make some pan-seared scallops, and of course, like you're saying, like a good steak, you want to sear, you want to get it really hot, sear the scallops on both sides. They don't take long to cook, but I have ordered scallops many times in restaurants, but this was the first time I attempted to cook them on my own.
That's brave.
What I did,
Scallops
yes, it
are
was.
tough.
What I didn't look into, and I thought it was a whole big project. I was proud of myself, whatever. But what I didn't look into was the I guess you'd call it maybe the smoke point of oils. So what I have sitting next to my oven is olive oil. It's great. I love olive oil. That's what I decided I would use: olive oil and a little butter, and use that.
Sure.
However, what I didn't realize is the smoke point on that olive oil is so low. So I have an electric range and a flat surface range, but I turned up the temperature to high, to maximum, so I could sear these scallops to start. And so I had a bunch of olive oil in the pan, and guess what? There was no flames involved.
Right, yeah.
But boy, oh boy, I don't have a very big townhouse.
No, you don't.
But I smoked that place out completely. And it was in the middle of the winter. So I had to open my front door, I had to open my patio door, all these windows, and smoke is just billowing out of there was no flames, there was no fire, but it was billowing out of my townhouse.
Yeah, I
Smoke
learned
alarms
that.
going off, beep, beep, beep. It was just so
olive
annoying.
oil's tough to cook with.
So
that
I should
way.
use something like canola oil or something like that.
Probably.
I've learned from my mistakes.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on from your funniness last night
Yeah.
to a little funniness from a couple of days ago.
Yes.
Now, to preface this, Sterling sent this to us this week.
I think
Well,
so.
text
yeah.
message.
It was last week.
Last week?
We both read it. We all read it. And
Yeah.
it is hilarious. We had to bring it up in this podcast because it is craziness to the extreme.
I feel like a lot of people probably listen to us
Yeah.
and think, yeah, that's not that funny. Because I think we have a very weird sense of humor. I thought this was hilarious.
This is hilarity to the extent of a couple podcasts ago we talked about the guy dying from sex, and
Right.
that was fun. This is on point with that.
Yes, it is.
So the headline is Oklahoma man on meth steals a car from porn video store with goat and guy inside. Drives through 3 states, leads cops on low-speed chase. That is your headline.
Yeah,
Yes.
and a good opening comment from like New York Daily News. He had a need for speed.
You did.
Yeah, and referencing to the fact that he was on methamphetamine when he did this little.
So, Brandon Kirby, he's 40 years old, stole a pickup truck that was parked in an adult video store in Carthage, Missouri. The car had 2 passengers, 1 man asleep,
Right.
and the man's goat.
Right.
So he was sleeping. He had a goat in the car with him.
Yeah.
He was chilling in the bed. They said it was chilling in the bed of the truck.
Right.
But Kirby didn't wake up. Right?
They don't mention if the goat was in the store earlier or not, but
No,
at
he
the
was
time he was in the
back
bed
of
of the pickup truck. So not in the cab.
So
Honest mistake, really.
so this is Missouri now. When we sold the truck, he got to Creek County, Oklahoma. Kirby decided having company was overrated and dropped the man and the goat on the side of the road. This proved to be a mistake as the man called 911.
Right.
Oklahoma police then contacted OnStar, which remotely slowed the stolen truck so it was traveling about 50 miles per hour. But Kirby refused to give up, even after driving over a spiked strip that flattened the vehicle's tires. Eventually, police ended the low-speed pursuit by forcing Kirby off the road into a ditch in Sand Springs, Oklahoma, just more than 7 miles west of Tulsa. Kirby was arrested after a short foot chase when cops found him attempting to hide in some tall grass like a 4th grader playing hide-and-go-seek. Of course, this guy has a lengthy criminal history and was recently released from prison. At the time of his ride, he's wanted for burglary charges, and that's about it.
It just goes to show. I mean, it could happen to anybody. You know, you just.
So there's a lot of things to this story, right?
I mean, I'm going to start off immediately.
Yeah. Fine.
And maybe this is jumping ahead a little bit, but the very first thing that I thought of was, why did the person in the porn store not call 911?
Well, remember my text message, okay? When I texted you guys about this, what did I say?
I don't
said,
remember.
The guy,
actually.
whoever it was when the porn shop, maybe they had video boost, maybe he was in there for a long time. We don't know.
But
We don't know.
But still, your truck disappears.
Yeah. Maybe it's happened
I mean-
right after he went in there.
These towns aren't close together. I mean, they're not far apart, but they're not close together. So that's a long time in that adult video shop.
Maybe he went in there, maybe he was in there for like 5 minutes before it got stolen.
But
That
you
could
just
be like an hour or two.
leave a dude
And the
sleeping
goat.
in your
And the
truck
goat. And the goat.
and the goat sleeping in your truck while you go into
People
the
in the
porn
truck.
shop.
But there's people in there.
Was the guy unconscious?
No, he's sleeping.
No, it's just sleep.
And so this wasn't the guy in the porn.
No.
No.
So,
We don't even know if there's a guy in the porn shop.
oh yeah.
It's true. We just know someone.
That's what I was
Someone.
wondering. Is the guy sleeping in his truck the guy that owns the truck?
Could have been.
Could have been. Yeah.
Could be. That's true.
Could've been.
I
I
mean, a long night at
suppose.
the porn store.
That's a good point. They don't clarify that in the story.
With his goat.
I'm concerned more about the goat.
Yeah.
I mean, goats are unique pets.
So, who brings the goat to a porn store anyway?
Well, that was kind of my first question. Like, but if it's true,
It's southern Missouri.
It's
I mean,
Missouri.
like Florida. Where he's having a-
Yeah. But, I mean, a goat, right? So, usually there's a goat at home, right? Like a dog. You leave a dog at home, right?
But
Not everybody.
really,
Well, not this guy. obviously.
I mean, a lot of people take their dogs with them.
So here's my thought. It's like, we're going to the porn store. Let's bring the goat with us.
Yeah, but Tony, when you go to the porn store, do you bring your goat with you or your
No,
dog?
I don't have a
Or
goat.
for that matter,
But do you bring your dog with you
or for
when you
that
go to
matter,
the
do you
porn
bring
store?
your friend with you?
I wouldn't bring a friend with me either.
What if
I
he
wouldn't-
just saw it up
Well-
on the side of the road and be like, oh, it's
Oh,
down
true.
here?
Like maybe, driving along. Oh, there's the porn store.
Oh, there's something there.
And that's why
And he's like, take a nap.
his buddy was sleeping in the car. There you go.
Big Butts 13 just came out on DVD. I gotta buy that. You know?
Dollar
I don't know what his thinking was.
So, another question that crosses my mind is, OnStar slowed the truck down. Why didn't it just stop it?
That's my question too. If they can stop those trucks.
Why lead everyone on a very
Well-
low-speed chase?
And why let them go through spike strips, link it out, and go hide in tall grass? Like,
I mean, I think the key takeaway is basically if you're going to be on like crystal meth, I don't think you should be out and about like going to running errands. Obviously,
okay, Dave. Yeah.
I mean, you'd be much better off staying at home. I think when you take
Hey,
your crystal
kids.
meth.
Don't go out when you're on crystal meth. Don't go out in public.
I mean, I guess
There you go.
actually the bigger takeaway should be don't take crystal meth. But
Well, yeah,
I don't want to be high and
Hey,
mighty, like telling
each their
people what
own
to do.
to
Yeah.
each their own. If they want to take meth,
Right.
let them take meth.
Avoid trips to
I mean-
avoid errands and trips to the porn store when you're on meth.
Maybe he was walking it off.
He probably was and saw the
Could
truck
be.
that was available. And he was like, I need to get a ride.
I'd be
Yeah.
interested in his criminal past.
Yeah. Well,
Is
he's
car
a burglar.
thievery?
He's a burglar. That's what I said.
So car thievery is in his
I
past.
don't know.
maybe?
What does it say? He's a burglary guy, though. So I mean, he likes to steal stuff. So
And actually, here's another question. I just thought of this. If the truck had OnStar,
Yeah.
it's relatively new.
yeah.
The keys must have been in it. Because he wouldn't have never been able to hotwire it.
Or
Oh yes.
if there's a key fob from the guy and the guy's sleeping in the truck,
Yes.
that would start the truck.
So maybe the guy sleeping was the driver.
Could have been yes.
And he was driving his friend to the porn shop
Could have been yes. With his goat
with his goat.
Or his friend's go to the.
or his friend's goat.
And maybe the porn shop doesn't allow goats.
Well, I don't think first shops allow goats.
I would think.
Blow up goats, yes. Real goats, no. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Wait.
Wait.
There's such a thing as a blow up goat.
Yes.
I would suspect there is.
There. We actually bought 5 years ago.
You bought a blow up goat? No kidding.
I mean, go back.
This story is
5
headed for a
years,
very
5 years
interesting
ago,
turn.
the boss at my work was getting married. They bought him a stripper pole and a blow up goat for his office. He was not happy when he came in that day.
I bet not.
I wonder why.
Was it one of those stripper poles that you screw to the ceiling?
Yeah.
Did they screw it to the ceiling?
No, just left it up. He wasn't going to do anything with it. It was cheap. Yeah. The blow up goat though.
I
was-
would suspect a stripper pole would be pretty cheap.
Yeah.
It's just a piece of metal.
I don't think he was upset about the Super Bowl. The goat was. Yeah, it was. Yeah, that was not cool.
I could see that.
Yeah, it was not cool. I don't know why I agreed to be involved in that, but I did.
Peer pressure.
There was like 10 of us, so yeah.
Yeah.
But we don't know all the, like, how they got from the porn store,
Right.
why there was a goat,
Right.
why did it shut down OnStar. I mean, there's a lot of things that are missing in this story.
Yeah, I just feel like obviously the guy had to be inebriated that was sleeping.
Yeah.
Because I think if my vehicle started moving,
Yeah.
I'd probably wake up. I don't know.
If you're very sleepy, maybe not.
And so did the meth addict, I'm assuming, expel the passenger after he woke up, or did he expel him after he got tired of him?
I get a feeling that the passenger was snoring.
And he got tired
And
of
he's
him.
like, well, screw this shit. I ain't doing this.
Right. And then probably at that point, he
Gotta
learned
get
there's
out.
a goat.
And if you wake up, you're like, there's a guy here, and it's like, okay, I'll get out of the car, and the goat came with.
Right.
So it must be the guy, it must be his goat.
It's probably
It's gotta be.
Can you imagine being left on the side of the road with a goat? Like,
No.
did he hold him?
No.
Did he have a leash?
Well, I don't know. That's another thing in the story. We don't know about the ramifications of, the side of the road.
I mean, probably a leash. Goats are pretty docile. It's no big
They are
deal. I mean, they're chill, very chill. They're not as friendly as dogs, but they're nice. And
I actually have a friend from high school whose parents had pet goats.
Pet goats?
I mean, they were like those pygmy goats, and
Yeah.
they kept them in an enclosure.
And again, we don't know the size of the goat either. They're going to be a pygmy goat.
And most goats aren't very big. Like I'm not an expert at all, but one of my first jobs actually was a volunteer position at the Minnesota Zoo. I worked in the children's petting zoo, so I basically picked up. I worked in there was a bunch of goats walking around, and my job was to pick up after them, if you know what I mean. Like, so goats are, they're cool. They're chill. They're chill.
So you worked at the farm?
I worked in the children's zoo farm.
Yeah.
I've been there a few times.
Yeah.
With my kids.
The great thing was on my breaks I could go and sit down and watch the bird show that happened all the time. Yeah, it was a good volunteer position. I think I was 14 maybe when I was doing that. Before I wasn't getting paid, I know that.
So let's get out of the funny stories, guys. Let's wrap this up because
it's
actually packed in here right now.
It is.
And we've got a prime seat.
We do.
I've seen people staring at us like, when the fuck are you guys going to stop?
That whole table behind you is staring at us.
Well, maybe we're going to stay and watch the game. I mean, and it's only football, but,
So, before we go, we talked about before, 2 weeks from now, LA Brewing Company, our 50th episode.
Right.
Which is nuts because most podcasts don't make it past 7.
Yeah.
We made it to 50.
50, especially the fact that we do it every other week. 50, that's 2 years.
That's crazy.
That's 2 years. So I think I'm really excited. I think it's we could have chosen a few of our favorite spots, but I'm really excited to be back at Alloy.
Alloy, Dave the beer tender is going to be on. He's our favorite guest. One of our favorite guests of all.
I remember our first one, we did it out on their patio in the summer last year. I just loved doing it at that one, and then we came back, was it later in the year?
Yes,
towards the end of the year.
We had been there for a year.
Both times were great. I can't wait to go back.
So that podcast, hopefully we got some other things to talk about the Loons.
Right.
From signing.
It's a safe bet we will.
I think we will,
At least one or two.
Training camp will have started. So
Right.
you guys are on that.
Yeah, that's right. Training camp starts a week from Monday, this coming Monday, the 20th.
So we got that to talk about. We'll reminisce about our history of our podcast. I mean, 50 episodes is nothing to sneeze at.
No.
It's crazy. But that's what we're doing next in 2 weeks from now.
Right.
You guys have anything else you want to talk about before we go?
No.
No, I'm good. It was a good episode. I'm glad to be here at HeadFlyer. It was awesome.
I'm glad we had Sterling back for this one.
Yeah.
It would have been last time.
I have a feeling it might have been tough trying to do it on an iPhone today, especially with our guests.
This would have been bad.
Yeah.
And this did not go without a hitch.
Yeah,
People won't know it.
We have problems.
But we did have a problem.
We persevered. So, I do want to say I've got one more thing.
Ooh, can't wait.
I should bring this up right now. We are on BGN Network. That's BGN.FM. We have a new Minnesota Podcast Network.
Yes.
Which one is that, sir?
Yeah.
Yeah, you remember?
The big one. That has literally everything in Minnesota.
Podcast
You
MN.
keep talking and I'll find it.
Podcast MN.
Well, in the meantime, let's just invite people to give us a like on Instagram or Twitter, especially.
Twitter, Facebook, Instagram.
Yeah.
Follow us on,
Facebook is nice because you can see, for example, our 50th episode extravaganza. You can see that event on Facebook.
It's Pod MN app.
Pod MN app.
Yes.
This is a totally different one now.
So you can download the app.
Yes.
And everyone that's on the network.
Yes.
Which is a lot.
Oh, yeah. They've got a ton
especially
of
for you sports fans.
Yeah.
We're on there.
So that's a different Minnesota podcast. So we have Podcast MN. And we got this podcast MN app.
Well, just Pod.
Pod MN app. So it's two different things, right?
Yep.
Find us on Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio,
Yes.
I think. Yeah.
Yes.
Anywhere you can find podcasts. I mean, pretty much. Thanks to Roughneck Scarves, official scarf supplier to MLS, USL, and US Soccer. Get custom scarves for your group or team at roughneckscarves.com. I want to thank again HeadFlyer Brewing Company for having us out here today.
And Shaun.
And Shaun for coming on. For myself, Tony, for Dave and David. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
See ya.